Hey guys, welcome to another AI conversation. And I'm happy to be joined today by a dear friend, an ex-colleague from my dark past in banking. Hi Melanie Rivera. Welcome to AI Conversations.
Hello, Doc. Thanks for having me. I miss you so much.
Oo nga, grabe, dekada na. Oh. So before we get into it, maybe for the 1 to 2 people who don't know who you are, just introduce yourself and what you do, and then let's start talking.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. I'm Melanie Madrid Rivera. But because in our previous banking,
Oo
like in
nga.
the past, they know me as Melanie Madrid. But yeah, Melanie Rivera. I've worked 10 years in a banking industry. And then I moved here to Canada in 2013. And then I was able to transition into like a software high tech industry now. So yeah, my background is like I was an analyst, risk analyst for 4 years, 6 years. I was working in digital marketing in banking. That's when I was able to transition into the software industry because of that digital marketing work background that I have.
Yeah, that's
That's me.
amazing. Yeah, I would love to, pick your brain on the digital marketing part. But maybe to start off, I guess one of the unique things you can share is how was the experience, no? So you said you were 10 years now working in the Philippines, and then yeah,
Yeah,
you made the transition.
yeah,
What was that like? How was that hard? Was that easy? And what were the decisions in your head
right.
that you had to make?
I know. So before we made that decision, like it was between me and my husband. We already have two kids before we left Philippines. But then he was offered a great work opportunity here in Canada. And that's when we uprooted our lives and we made a transition. So the interesting part there is we made the decision that I will be a full-time mom for until our younger one is has started school. So when he started school, that's when I started looking for work. The adjustment part is we're kind of like, like when you move to another country, you prepare yourself. Like you study and then research what's the culture like, what's the lifestyle like. Somehow in your head you're ready, but when you're actually in it, it's like, oh my god, this is hard. Like we were here, there's no family at all, just me, my husband, my two kids, and we were on our own. And it was the winter is tough. There's no winter in the Philippines. So adjustment wise, it was really hard, but I would say quite fulfilling. That in those 3 years that I was a full time mom, I was able to like really enjoy my kids and focus on family. And as you know, the banking um, life, work in the bank really is not easy. Like 10 hours, maybe minimum a day, especially in the Philippines. And but yeah, so it was not easy yet. It was, I could say, 3 years of my most fulfilled like life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a similar decision. Technically, you've joined the ranks of the diaspora na, no, ng Filipinos, no? You've moved abroad. If you're still sending money back home, I guess to your family, then you're now uh, part of the OFW remittance statistic. So
Western
congratulations.
Union.
Oo, 'di
Yeah.
ba? I think that's part of being Pinoy. I think that's a unique thing that we share maybe with a few ano lang ethnic groups, no, who are like the Chinese or all over the place. Talagang may ganong trend. Sige. Maybe let's talk about kasi we normally talk about artificial intelligence, no. But
Right.
obviously we were around long before this AI hype train started. Can you share your early days when you started working as an analyst? How was that like? And what were baka ang gawin natin is let's share some tips and advice for people who are looking to follow a similar path. Maybe some of them might also be considering working abroad. Iba yung
Right.
experience from someone like you who has actually been there, no? So how did you even long before the decision, how were you managing your career path and skills? And then after that, how did that change at all? Like you said, you're now in software after moving. how did that change your approach also?
It was like, so let's start with me being an analyst. So remember, Doc, when reports come out, it was like, what's that text file? And then we'll have to do something with that text file to convert it into, so it could be workable and you can call the data and can use it and have a report for your senior management to make an analysis out of. So like it's very manual. And remember those days when one of the senior leaders we have is like, where's my report? It's like, it's still running and it's being run in Excel or MS Access. Then before we even have SAS.
Alam mo, MS Access, interestingly enough. That was a big deal for us, no? But then I was recently at a forum itong one of, alam mo naman marami itong mga community. So there's one community for data engineers. And I
Yeah.
shared about MS Access and few people actually knew about it. Parang, huh?
You.
You know? It's actually parang a dark horse, no, hidden in the MS Office suite. Kaya sabi ko, wow, that's a power tool that everyone can use, no? And everyone is now obsessed with Power BI, mga ganyan. And I was thinking, yeah, but before Power BI, we had MS Access and we were doing that, and we were getting over the limits of Excel. Alam mo naman yun yung challenge back in the day. Anyway, sige, sorry. Sorry to interrupt. So, sige.
And then, so those are the tools that we're using to have like, to prepare analysis and the reports that are needed for risk analysis. And then, so I was working in that. So that was my like all very manual, right? Like how you get your data, the data cleanup that you have to do, and the hard coding in SAS. I wasn't really interested in SAS that time though. So let other team members do the SAS part. I'll run the report and do the analysis. So, but then from the risk analyst role, there was an opening in e-marketing. Okay, so I will date myself with the e-marketing term.
That term, no, e-marketing, parang alam ko yung era na yan.
2006, it's still called e-marketing. And I was mad. Then I moved to marketing after the my risk years, 4 years of being risk analyst. And so when it opened up, I was managing the e-channels for the bank. So the ATM, the internet banking, the website, and some other electronic channels that we have, mobile email. So that got me started with the marketing. So it's like a shift from being an analyst, risk analyst, to like marketing. It's almost like, how can I use my analyst skills into an e-marketing? But then in e-marketing, you have metrics, right? So web metrics, you're gonna be like analyzing user experience, user journey, and all of that. So I still have my critical thinking cap, and I'm still using all those skills there, but not in a data calling side anymore, not the manual.
So was it
Um,
more about interpreting na the data? Kasi you said it's less about manually manipulating the
yeah,
information. Was that
because
the pressure on the
that
marketing
time
team?
we were using web trends for web metrics, so that's how we get the page performance for the website and all that. The trick though, not the trick, but the part where it's dependent on is how your website is set up. So if you don't have the proper tags and no one's managing those, and the metadata behind your pages, you won't be able to get like quality data. I think similar to how you call like the data that you have. If it's like garbage in, garbage out, we always say that it's a common term that we use when we analyze data. So it's similar with the web metrics too. So if you don't set up your pages properly, then your metrics will not be showing, like will not give you useful insights too. So yeah,
Okay, so
that.
you mentioned earlier transferable skills, no, and you mentioned critical
Mhm.
thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanna bring that up because I don't know if you'll believe this if you've been monitoring the trends, no. But between the time that that era and then now, the industry for analytics has changed a lot in terms of jobs. There's far more people now doing it. but they're struggling, no? And I want to zoom in on a particular issue that I'm seeing, where the bulk of people, actually, and hindi ko alam kung kasalanan ko rin to because when we started promoting business analytics, data science, as a proper field, we were using our basically yung life experience natin to promote what are the necessary skills. What happened, I think, was masyadong na-hype yung technical skills. So, oh, you need to know Excel. I think the trifecta now is SQL, Excel, and Python. Yun yung top three. Certainly those were good. Um, but and we now have a glut, I would say, in the Philippines, of people who've taken these skills. Either they learned it in school or they took some boot camp. Daming mga boot camp eh. Noong panahon natin, wala pa, hindi pa uso bootcamp on the internet. Puro mga GeoCities lang yung laman ng internet dati. And then now, you have all these, you have Coursera, you have all these data camp, Google. So they're
Right.
doing it. They're learning it. But then they're struggling to find work. And there was one post, I'll see if I can dig it up, and it's someone struggling with their capstone project kasi most of these courses ngayon meron ng capstone which I think is generally a good idea where you practice what you've learned and you're struggling
Mm.
with the capstone. And I'm trying to trace it to why would they struggle? And I think part of the answer is they may know the execution, like you run a
Right.
code, select star, whatever, pero they don't know how to think like a data analyst, which is
Mm.
in many ways similar to research. Similar to, 'di ba? It's similar to it's like your approach. Kaya nga nauso yung data scientist na term. It's like you're thinking as a scientist. You're looking at cause and
Yeah.
effect. You're looking at
Right.
trends. I wouldn't go to the extent of labeling everyone a scientist. I think that's also a problem. Medyo hype yun. But in terms of the thinking, it's very similar. And it's
Mm.
hard to learn that until you've actually been in a job, 'di ba?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
performing that, no? So, in your case, para lang maliwanagan ng mga tao, did you have that transition also? Parang from just executing technical stuff into parang mo thinking more like an analyst. And what does that mean? Sabi mo kanina critical thinking. Could you share a little bit of that from your perspective?
Siguro I'll take a step back because my I finished in I finished industrial engineering. So I have always like I've gained that and being like almost a data scientist and an analyst and very analytical in my the critical thing was really honed during university days. And from there, while I moved into banking industry, I said, how can I use that? And thankfully, I was able to work alongside you, Doc, in we call ourselves management information analysts, MI that time.
MIS, no? Wow, what a dated term.
Wow. Woo, early 2000s. But but yeah, so the critical thinking part, you say, because if you're not able to like exercise, like just like exercising the muscle, you develop it. You need to use it. You can learn it, but I think one of the reasons, if I would try to go to what you're saying about why can't they find a work related to what they know or the skill that they just acquired, right? One of the challenges might be they will be asked, where have you applied it? Or what's your use case? How are you able to, like translate this skill into actual work and result? Like it's different when when you have knowledge, but you really haven't practiced the skill. And one of the things too is, although when I was gonna say when I applied here, how did I transition from banking to a software industry? I learned how to go around the system of like, there's automation with HR hiring, right? Like where they look for keywords for if,
Parang para
if
siyang SEO but for resumes, no?
yeah, I learned that. I was like, oh my gosh, there's such a thing now. So I got a bit of coaching here. There's some like consultants that you can go to and help you, like, foot in the door and how can you get an interview at least. So when you get an interview and then they ask you, this, and they will ask you to state an example of how to use your skill. If you don't have the experience and you're not able to practice it, it's hard to justify it and really give it a bit of like weight, right? So it's hard to just say, "Oh, I took this course," and yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned
Yeah.
industrial engineering, no? I feel nga na the IEs don't get enough. They're not that noisy kasi maingay yung mga stat, mga com sci. Sorry to say it. Being neither one of those. Pero yung mga IE, kasi if I'm not mistaken, you do blend the stat, the com sci, and business
Mm,
in IE also,
yeah.
and the problem solving and the operations research. So I think yeah nga that the IE profile is probably closest to what would make an ideal data analyst kasi nga you were formally trained in all parang Six Sigma stuff, 'di ba? You were trained in all of
Yeah.
these problem solving methods, no? Okay. So,
Yeah.
sige. How do you do that? How do you learn that if you're not from IE? So I guess in your case that was an advantage pala.
Yeah. No, I was gonna, because I mentioned, I'm not sure if it was when we were recording, but you mentioned something about someone can be good with analyzing a data, but not able to communicate it well, or not
Yeah,
able to express their thoughts or insights around the data that will be useful to whoever the audience is. And I think one of the training that I got from taking industrial engineering is that we were really drilled on writing, like writing our analysis, and we will be drilled on making sure that when you write an analysis, that whoever's reading it is as if you treat them as if they're grade one or they don't know anything about the topic. So when you
basically simplify the
simplify
mm,
the language that you use and how you express it and how clear you should write it, like it's part of the training, I would say. And yeah, so it's important, like you can be a really great data scientist but not able to share and express the insight that is useful to the users or audience. Yeah.
yeah, I mean I myself, I don't know when I was trained to do that. Kasi nga, I came from a business accounting background eh. So maybe there was some training there. Maybe when we were doing management accounting, baka may konting ganun, no? But I think I actually learned that on the job, honestly. You know, I learned that on the job. Kasi nga, part of the, as you know, di ba? Part of the MI role is to present the stats to
And write up, yeah, you have to
basically
write the
dumber
analysis.
people. But you have to show them eh. And it's easy for someone who's into the complexity of things to make it sound complex. Have you met people like that? They love sounding complicated, jargony,
Tiring.
'di ba?
It's
And
that.
I have to confess, there was a brief moment, I think, maybe a couple of years, where I got a kick out of that, making something sound so technical. And but it got really boring quickly when you found out you're not connecting na with the people. Parang, alam mo yung expression sa Philippines, oh, ikaw na yung matalino, parang ganun ang dating. So you get that. I
Yeah,
actually
I
sometimes get that. And then when people talk to me, they realize, oh, Doc, dami ko natutunan. Palaging gano'n, marami akong natutunan meaning, okay, wala ka ba natututunan dati? Parang gano'n dating. So, I was just thinking, okay, then it's really about communicating, communication style pala. So, and I think that's incumbent not just on analysts, but anyone, no? Whether
yeah,
you come from humanities, a STEM, an arts field,
yeah.
I think it's more of the ano pa nga eh. I think the humanities pa nga who struggle a bit with this because they tend to get into very esoteric subjects and topics that's just for a small filter bubble of people. Pero tayo, we're constrained to express it in a company at least, no? I can
Yeah.
relate to that. Sige, sorry,
Yeah.
going back to you. So
No,
storytelling, you learned that and how to
yeah.
simplify.
No, I love how you used connecting.
Hmm.
I feel like in everything we do, communication, and with the communication, you create the connection because that's the only way you can get results. And You can be using highfalutin words and you can sound so smart, but then you can connect to the people you're working with. So you're not getting anywhere actually. They just, yeah. And in my work now, like web content management, the thing that we like, I think 90% of my work is just communicating. So communicating with the stakeholders, communicating with my team, giving everyone a heads up if something's coming up. Like, is every platform upgrade, any system downtime, any, anything that would impact a content or anything that would impact a workflow. So there's that communication. And then with that, as you continue communication, then there's like you're developing the connection and you're building your relationship with the people you're working with or speaking with. So I feel like I'm gonna go into AI because with the I feel like that's why it's really not trending. It is a revolution now of AI. But I feel like people connect to it, like let's say Chat GPT, right? Like the reason people like it's so easy to use. And then when you ask something, it responds to you like in a comprehensive manner that very helpful to what you need for your content, right? Like the clutter of content, it's just organizing it for you. Like for me, simple menu planning, healthy menu planning for kids. Da, 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 da. So I have an idea for the week. So things like those. So I think like what you said, connecting and communication, very they're the key. Very important for me, even in daily life.
Yeah, I think ano eh, buti you mentioned ChatGPT na no. One of the things that was counterintuitive initially for me was it didn't feel like I was talking to an AI. Yeah, it,
Mm.
it felt like I was talking to a person or
Mm-hmm.
a better search engine. In fact, most people treat it like a search engine nga eh. But of course learning more about it kasi for example, prompt engineering is one of the big skills now. I
Mm-hmm.
find that the audience is split on that. No, some people think prompt engineering is like programming. It's not. Although may structure din siya that you can in a way treat like a program. Parang how do you structure a prompt so that it elicits the right response?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
then some people naman oversimplify it. Na I'm just gonna ask a question. I get the answer. Yes, you can, but you might be underutilizing naman the power of the model.
True.
But in all cases, it's actually para siyang etiquette. That's how I call it eh. Like what do you say on a first date so you don't end the date agad? Parang mga ganyan. So, I think and that's a very new space for most let's say if you come from a data background, you come from an analyst background, you're used to giving very parang explicit instructions to a database, give me this table, that row, this column in this manner, matching this criteria. Parang ganun, yung parang you're thinking programmatically.
Yeah.
And then you can certainly do that with AI then. It will respond. Pero it will also respond in a very programmatic way. And that might not be what you need, diba? A lot of the aha moments I've experienced in the past year, as of this recording, is treating the AI like you would treat, a conversation. And then getting that quality of replies. Kasi nga, it's a language model, no? And then,
Yeah.
ano mo napapansin mo, if you read these articles about, oh, these models are dumb. Yan. It's usually a math problem. Diba? Like,
Mhm.
Sally had three apples and then Paul got two. How many apples left? Nabobobo yung model. And I'm thinking, why are you trying to solve a math problem with a language model? You go to Excel or you go to these other math tools. And sabi, no, 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 it's supposed to understand. No, it understands language. I guess that's still a kind of a gap that
Yeah.
that needs to be filled. Pero if you bring the language model to language problems, like, draft a document for me, here's the bullets, or please
Right.
understand what this means, give me some counter arguments.
Yeah.
Grabe the wealth of knowledge you get, no, from that, no, na talagang na-extract niya, no. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to insert that kasi nga
I
you
know.
mentioned ChatGPT. That's a very new way of interacting with AI. That's is what I've experienced.
Grab, grabe talaga yung interaction. And I was gonna say, because my current company right now, we we have text mining. We offer AI in every business unit that we have. And one of the AIs that we're using right now is like assisted authoring in our CMS platform. Or so the thing there is text mining. So and then it provides your readability evaluation of your content. It provides you sentiment, and it provides you the tone. So from there you'll be able to, tweak your copy to make sure that it's like fulfilling all those the things that in the algorithm of that assisted authoring behind the CMS. So just very helpful for content creation. And that's how, like, one of the things that I say, like, wow. And as you said, like, it is conversational, hindi siya like pang solve ng math problem.
No, no,
Like,
no.
yeah, that's why yung how useful like AI is for content. Even Grammarly, right? Like, tama ba, Doc? Grammarly is an AI. So it checks your, even the tone. Similar to
Tone.
what I just mentioned,
Tsaka,
yeah.
isn't that also or baka iba pala yun, there are also these plagiarism checkers that I feel are actually a problem. Kasi nga hindi siya 100%. No, you can be accused
Mm,
of
yeah.
writing with AI. Yung pala hindi, no? Have you ever had that problem? Kasi sa academia, yan ang issue ngayon. The teachers are all complaining about students cheating on their essays. We should ban ChatGPT, patay, no? So what, I mean, how do you how do you react to that?
Oh my gosh, I know. Like, I have a high schooler now, my
Mhm.
daughter, and they're not allowed to use Chat GPT. So when I review her work and when she asked me my help, I was like, "Are you the one who wrote this? It doesn't sound like it's for me." So then she would say, like, part of it I asked Chat GPT,
Yeah,
but
but
then I said,
how do
"No,
you,
you're
I feel that this is a
right."
problem eh. This is really a
Yeah.
problem that we need to resolve. Kasi when they get out into the world, they're gonna use it. But if in school, bawal. Alam mo yun, parang I feel na there's something missing here.
I know, like, governance and how you regulate the use, and but there's benefits to it, like it helps the thinking, because sometimes you'll have like a writer's block somewhat, and then ChatGPT like helps you, like keeps you going, gives you idea, but that not necessarily copy and paste that idea, right?
Mm.
So make it your own still, have it like an assistant or have it like an inspiration, but make it your own, your voice, still put your thoughts into it. But it's very helpful for sure.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, in the education part, they're kind of scared that it is hampering the growth
The
and
process,
like the
grabe, no?
process of the kids. Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
that's
mm.
the mentality right now.
Okay. So, from your experience as someone who does, content and
Yeah.
marketing, is AI actually more of a benefit than a harm? Kasi parang it seems like it's in pockets eh. Some areas feel it's a threat, some areas think it's a benefit. So for
Mm-mm.
me that's a bona fide sign of a ano na talaga, a disruption kasi everyone has a different idea of
Yeah.
what it is now. So in your case, what's your take on it?
Yeah. So for me, I feel like you'll have to embrace it.
Mm.
It's here to stay. It will change everything.
Mhm.
So I feel like if you don't know what it is, might as well start learning about it so you can familiarize yourself on how it can be beneficial to you, and
Mhm.
also learn what are the consequences of like using it, and how you can also protect yourself, like from kind of like a security standpoint of your information, and like even the use of it. But yeah, from a web content standpoint though, like when we started offering AI in our company, we launched it last year, and our team, I belong to the digital engagement team. So the web programs team report into that division. They held an AI hackathon activity for the division, so people will can sign up, and that's how they kind of started the team thinking on innovation and how to to use AI in our work and how it can help with the user journey of someone visiting our website or exploring our content and all of that. So so we have our team. We built like a prototype. So the sky's the limit. No limitation, whatever idea you think that will help using AI. So for our team, we developed like this idea of you have an algorithm that has the ability to recommend and populate metadata in the website. And from there, it can, recommend on the, like showing dynamic content and like personalize your solution offerings. Depends on what this person is looking at. So it's like customizing content depends on why this user or this visitor is on your website. So those that was the idea of the in my team for the AI hackathon. So with that, it just shows like in at least with our division how we are embracing AI. And
Mm.
also that was such a great initiative from the leadership because it started people thinking and it just kind of opt you in that like we are learning this, we are gonna have this, you have to learn this. And but it was such an engaging way that, and it was fun, so fun that we have a panel where we have to present the prototype and our idea, and they are
So this
like
was internal activity with
internal.
the employees.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, as we launched the product last year, our leadership had that initiative to run an AI hackathon like activity within the team. And the panel who judged there's like it's like a contest too, like so the panel is like our CMO
Hmm.
and the head of our experience product team. So like these are legit, like your legit audience and leaders who can really say it's a go for this product or this idea. So it was really fun. So I think like what you said, like what's my take on it, I think we really have to embrace it, and it's here to stay. It's gonna evolve. It will be useful in every area of our life or even our work. So might as well like not get ahead of it, but it's really like learn it as you embrace it, in every technology or in every like new thing that comes up. There's a pros and there's a con. So if you don't educate yourself, then you'll just be left behind,
Mhm.
and you don't want to do that.
Yeah, actually, buti na mention mo yung the hackathon model. Speaking
Hmm,
speaking as a person who loves taking hackathons.
I know.
For me, ano eh, when we the first hackathon we did na public was the Break the Fake hackathon in 2019, shortly before the the NASA Space Apps Challenge, no. And the experience was very different from how we would normally treat research in terms of kasi pag research, it's usually very solitary. You only deal with a small group of people, or even consultancies. You get these high-powered, intelligent people, and they dispense wisdom. Sa hackathon, it was baliktad, no? It's very organic, very community, and you source knowledge from the ground, and then you assess, no? And I think net the costs of a hackathon are also much lower than attracting a research institution. I think they have both pros and cons, no? But I was very impressed with how hackathons are able to basically slice through a problem through many lenses, no? Kasi everyone will do their
Yeah,
own approach.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
yeah, 'di ba? And then lalabas, there's not one best approach pala. Actually, it's a multitude of approaches. And that is
True.
often a big opportunity for a company to start a transformation. And then
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned hackathons in the context of artificial intelligence. AI naman, it lends itself very well to hackathons because it's basically a storehouse of every digitized knowledge that humans
Oh
have
my gosh.
created, 'di ba?
Yes. Yeah.
But not in a traditional, hindi siya parang database where you retrieve records. It assembles, new content based on what it learned. Parang tayo, no? When we write something new and original, actually it's based on what we remember. It's based on what we think, which is molded by what we learned. So I find
True.
that those two forces, the hackathon and the AI, work very well. Kasi The
Mm,
AI is a massive ideation tool, and then the
yeah,
hackathon is more of the prototyping environment. Grabe, winner siya. So I'm happy that you're
winter.
into that, no? Is that something you do often, or regularly, or one off, or
Well,
what was the
it's
result?
it was the first time that our division did that. And the result was, so our head of the experience product team are they're the ones who are like we sell the digital asset management, media management, CMS, all of those kinds of tools. So he got a lot of idea like he loved the AI hackathon because like it is like this idea of different people that they will be able to use to develop the products that we have, and those things that maybe they haven't thought of yet. It's like, can I have your pitch? Because he found a lot of insights or things that he thinks that might be useful to the product that they can upgrade and for future releases, because in our company we do product releases every quarter.
Hmm.
So with that he has this, what you got, like a, a lot of ideas coming from that. So he got the pitch and then he was actually taking down notes during the pitch. And he was so appreciative of everyone's effort and the time spent with the hackathon. But I feel like it's a win-win on both sides anyway. All of us who participated really enjoyed it and learned more about AI and potential uses and all of that, especially in the field of like web and digital engagement. And so, and even our leaders, our senior leaders, were able to get ideas from there too. So
Yeah.
it was amazing.
Actually, ano nga, isa pang ano diyan is you, and this is a challenge I still have when you're working in ano mga in a consulting context or within a company. There's actually a lot of knowledge that goes by undocumented, no?
Mm,
Because it's word of mouth or it's stuff that people have in their heads. so there's no repository to capture all of that para other people can benefit from it. Usually there's a major initiative like launch this knowledge management system, mga ganyan.
right, right.
Um, but even with those kinds of initiatives, kailangan there's a concerted effort to capture knowledge. I
True.
think that's perfect for AI. No? Alam mo yung mga, parang ngayon, when you join a Zoom call, there's an AI assistant that takes the minutes. No? May mga ganun. Those are things that people may I probably take for granted. Pero can you imagine in the course of a normal working day, how much knowledge was generated by your interactions, by your meetings? And there's unless you're really the diligent type, have a notebook or whatnot, jotting down notes, hindi talaga eh. You won't capture it. Yan sayang yun, that's lost in the ether. Buti na lang people are there no to capture to kind of recirculate it. Eh paano if
Mm,
you leave the company or someone leaves or resigns? 'Di ba? There's always this big void bigla. Naalala mo back in the day sa banking, every time someone gets reassigned or leaves the department, parang boom, biglang may void. Sabi ko, and I said, wow, there's gotta be a better way of solving that problem. And mukhang we do, no? Kaya I feel na the generative AI is not only a productivity improvement, it's also a creativity boost and a knowledge
yeah.
boost. In other words,
Yeah.
it helps you gather knowledge and manage it. It's really something else. And I don't think people are thinking of it that way yet. Parang napaka-tactical pa ng ginagawa ng mga tao with it. Parang treat it like another Google, which I feel is ano parang severely underutilizing that tool, no? Okay. Sige, wait. So let's go back to the history ulit. So you were in banking, you did risk, you did marketing, and then you made the shift.
Yeah.
So how did it feel like landing in
Mm,
North America and
I
getting settled
know.
in for the
I
first time?
know. So when I started looking for, so I was like, okay, I need to get a job now because my younger one is going to school. So he's ready and I am hopefully ready. So then I started looking for like an job opening. So that's when I also consulted with some job hunter, or not job hunter, like
Headhunter.
headhunters here. Yeah, headhunter consulting. I just consulted once and I had my resume assessed and she was teaching me about keywords for
For
like
your
whatever.
resume. Mm.
Yes. So we didn't have that though in the Philippines. Like I think manually HR or like recruitment people will be reading resumes manually. I don't know if we're using that automation now.
Mhm.
But yeah, here it's a common thing.
Naranasan ko 'yun, when I was
Yeah.
moving parang pareho rin, eh. When I was moving out
Mm-hmm.
of, one of my banking kasi 'di ba, there was the bank we worked for and then I moved to another bank,
Yeah.
which is more of a BPO bank. And
Mm-hmm.
that's another topic altogether, that BPO banks and non-BPO banks, interesting culture. And then when I moved to my next, parang my last corporate gig, which is an IT firm, the recruiters were actually quite proactive na, okay,
Mm-hmm.
looking at your CV, can you move these sections around? Parang ganun eh. Talagang they're tailoring you kasi it was a senior role palalo to really fit the requirements.
Yeah.
And then kasama nga doon yung mga, can you highlight your experience here? Can you say this? Talagang ano sila, ano mo, parang ano eh, parang silang insurance agents. Try to get you to win a policy despite your exclusions, no?
Policy
Um,
writing.
Oo, parang gano'n. So, initially I found it strange na parang, huh? Parang, doesn't my experience speak for itself? Parang the answer is no. You have to speak for your experience. So
I know.
that was mind-blowing for me. Kasi nga, hindi naman tayo everyday nagpapadala ng resume, 'di ba? There's
Right.
big gaps, no? So at that
Mm-hmm.
time, I mean, I was 11 years in that first banking gig and then another 3 in the second one. So talagang you know where you're already used to working but you're not used to job hunting, and then you get this parang ano, in your face kind of feedback, which is, naman it's for your benefit. So yeah, I know what that felt, no. Okay, sige. So back to you.
So
So
yeah. So
SEO, and
after
then ano
I
nangyari?
did my resume and I started applying here, there, and I was updating each resume depends on what the job opening is. So you
Oo.
have to kind of fit it like, and even the cover letter. They read cover letter here, I realize. So I have to write my cover letter that also fits the job opening. So thankfully I got this interview where I'm working now.
Oo.
Oh, the interview is
Was that
so
was that was that an entry level role or mid-level role or senior
it's a
level
mid
role?
a mid-level role,
Okay.
but it's more of like if you're looking like if you're maybe like in a bank, it's like still a staff, not like an assistant
Ah,
manager, not an officer level,
pero not junior staff, medyo senior staff,
not
parang
junior.
gano'n.
Yeah, it's a, like a so the title was senior web content specialist.
Okay.
So basically, you're building pages and managing the web content. So working on the web content, not managing. But yeah, so when I got the interview, it was, what do you call that? Refreshing,
Mhm.
because very interesting, Doc. I had a gap. I was so scared with the gap, the gap that I didn't work.
Mm.
They never asked me about it. I feel like for them it doesn't matter what's important. Not feel like how based on the experience and how I like how they ask me questions. It's based on my skills. They're
Yeah.
very focused on the skills and what I was able to do and whether my skills fit what they're looking for.
Mhm.
And then from there, thankfully, because I was aiming for financial industry because that's where I came from, like banking.
Mhm.
So I was applying in insurance, banks. But then this one I just tried, and it's a like a software industry software company. And so from there, I was like, they never asked me why I had a gap here. And I got three
Big
interviews.
deal siya 'no, sa Philippines 'no, if you have a gap.
Yeah.
Oo,
Culture
people
wise,
ask 'no.
yeah, like they would be inquiring like, okay, so I see you have a gap in your resume. But
Oo.
here I went through three interviews. None of them asked me.
Mhm.
Two of them are British, one of them is Canadian, and none of them cares why I have a gap in my resume. All of them are just asking about my
Did they ask you about academics? Kasi that's also another cultural bias here. Or was it more about skills and competencies and all
yes,
that, no?
yes, skills alone and experience. So if it fits what they're looking for, they think that yeah, good fit. for the opening.
Uh-huh.
Then they offer you a job, they're not even looking at your education. Yeah. But I think maybe that's part of like minimum, see if you finish university or college.
As a
But
tick box, but they
it's,
don't really know, they
yeah,
don't really care what you took, basically.
no,
Mm,
no. And when I started working, that's another liberating experience here
mm,
because they focus on your strengths.
yeah.
I never got any feeling of, hey, you're lacking in here. It's
Mm,
always they work on your like that that's what they're leveraging on. What are the strengths of the people? And that's where they put you. And if you're like, your career progression and all of that, but there was never a point that they were looking at what I was lacking at or what I need to be developing.
yeah.
So yeah, very different in terms of culture and the focus too on the family life. And they respect your vacation
Mm,
and they very respectful of family life. If you have a sick kid and free to work from, not free, like you have flexibility to work from home, and if you have to take care of a family member, they're very understanding and supportive. You can adjust the work hours too if let's say you need to attend to family matters. So totally different. Unlike when I was back in the Philippines, so hard to be balancing your family life with work. You
yeah.
tend to prioritize work because your career is important, or else like your medical benefits are all there, and you know it's important for the quality of life, like standard too that we have, right? So there's a lot of dependency with your job. So yeah,
Okay.
very different.
I mean, I want to double down on that now because I think in some ways we've already shifted, as in globally,
Mm,
into a very competency based, skills based type of recruitment. But our education sector is still very qualification based. No, get a diploma here, a diploma there, diploma everywhere. Kaya kaya and again, it's something that I've already basically accepted. I always found it strange na there's a high parang need for ano ba certificates no everywhere sa Philippines. May certificate po ba dito. So very qualification based. Pero a
mm,
certificate may or may not indicate competency. And then
that's true.
what you're saying is when you get to abroad uh, or in Canada, it's never about or it's rarely about qualifications. It's about it's about skills, no? Um and then how do you navigate a career pag ganyan, no? Kasi syempre iba-iba yung navigation din. So yun pa nakakatawa. At least I'm speaking partly from experience. You get in jobs based on qualifications, but then you move up in a company pretty much based on politics. It's rarely about performance. Maybe in some cases, siguro it's performance driven. Like if you're in a sales job, it's the number of deals you close. So yun, medyo meritocratic supposedly yun, no? Although we both experienced crazy salespeople in our time, no? Pero ikaw, in that environment, how does that work for career development?
So for me, so since we are used to hard work, that's what I'm gonna say. So Filipinos are very hardworking, and there's no such thing as like anything that's like beneath us for us to do. Like we don't choose like tasks. Like we just go for it and do the task, regardless of is that below my pay grade or you know, we are just very hardworking by culture, and I think I that's one of the qualities that because of our training in the bank where we worked, and how like the resilience that we have is much different than maybe those who grew up here or who like North Americans. um we They would always joke me about I'm sorry, Mel. I know this is a first world problem. Like they're just being so what do you call that? They're just being so whiny about things
Petty,
that's
no?
petty that they think I might think that it's petty, but it's not. But I'm just like, it's not. It's whatever it is that you want to say or how you feel about it. It's your feelings. I have no judgment on that. But they know I came from the Philippines and it's a harder life, so to speak. Like coming from like a third world country. Do we still call it third world country? I don't know. But yeah, so how
Dami
did
ng
I
mga
navigate?
bagong mga woke terms for that, no?
Oh
Mga
my gosh.
dati third world, emerging market, ngayon it's the
Ano ba
global
tayo?
south, it's the majority world. I don't know.
Sorry, world.
No, no,
So,
that's a term, majority world. Kasi yung mga first world are minority. Kokonti lang yung mga first world countries eh. And then the majority
ah,
world are, you know, pretty much most countries,
interesting.
the hot countries. Bihira kasi
Interesting.
yung mga cold, poor countries, although meron din. Karamihan ng mga majority world are hot, equator, you know, where I am, Pasig
Oh
City.
my gosh. But yeah, so yeah, going back to how did I navigate that? So I started senior web content specialist. Then I moved to manager web programs, and now I'm senior manager web programs in maybe a span of like 7 years, I think. So how did I navigate that? So being like, because I was really willing to start from like maybe rank and file because I want to learn the coding side of the web content because back in the Philippines, someone was doing the publishing. We have our not third party. We have like a BPO side who does the publishing. So I'm not really coding in terms of web content. So I'd like to learn that part of the job. Like I'm able to,
So did you
put a
pick
hands
it
on.
up? The HTML, CSS, JavaScript?
So
Oh,
yeah, the HTML side, but because the CSS, I learned some of it too. But we have developers, for the website, so we have the front end and the back end. But I'm in the web content side, so we're the content authors, so the publisher. So I learned that. I really wanted to learn that for myself. I cannot because I cannot say that I'm a digital marketer or a web content specialist without knowing how to build a page from coding, and at least that's for me. So I was really willing to learn. That started, and I was able to use my analytical skills again because I was raising my hand about presenting to the senior management, giving analysis of our homepage and how we can bring in more people or what are performing, not performing, what can we do here, there. So providing insights and recommendations. So I think that was one of the things that also helped me progress in my career, and like volunteering to do things that not many people would raise their hands on. And I really don't mind. Like I really don't mind having more responsibilities. I feel like maybe I was trained for it, and I actually really like the job that I'm doing. So and the people I work with. And then eventually there was a career, like there was a transition in the role from my previous manager that opened up a role for me. So her role was divided into two, and the other half went to me, and that was the web content operation side of things that made me into a senior manager role. So I think that the kind of progression is really resilience and keeping improving. On like even now, I even took like a course in the University of Waterloo for essentials of like web design, so I could like just to add to my knowledge and skills also, and that helped me as well, like with my how I can be more effective with the web content work that I'm doing. So yeah.
that's amazing. So, and I just noticed we're nearly at the hour, no? Bilis, no? Sorry for the racket. I don't know if you can hear it. There's a construction right beside me. Um, so as someone who's already settled in Canada and you have this career, your kids are growing up, where do you see, how do you see your, what lies ahead of you? Kasi I think you're really one of a minority breed in the Philippines who has successfully made that transition. Not everyone makes that transition successfully. Although the odds seem to be above average, you know, you're more likely to succeed than fail. But you really have to put some effort into it. So I think now you're over that milestone. You're living I would say a more comfortable life in Canada compared to the Philippines, which is also very likely naman for most people who move out. Pahirapan talaga dito eh. So how does that affected your outlook na lang, no? I mean, what are you looking forward to?
Right now, in my personal life, it's really watching the looking forward to, like, I have a high schooler now. She's grade 10, and she's getting a lot of this invitation to take advanced placement courses or advanced placement subjects. And she's even getting invited to like a semester in the university in her 12th grade. It's based on also your academic achievements as well. So I'm really looking forward to witnessing how my kids will grow. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity that they have here in terms of education. And I would just like to share that the education system here is very different though. They focus on critical thinking. They would like students to be able to write their analysis, not really getting just the right answer. That's not the focus. The focus is write your thoughts. How did you arrive to that answer? So I'm like, oh my gosh. In the Philippines, what's important is you get the right answer. But writing your thoughts and analysis on how you arrive at that answer. Explain your thinking. There's always that requirement. Explain your thinking. So they're very focused on that. And they also work on the strengths of the kids rather than looking at what their weaknesses are. So the teachers adjust to the learning um capabilities of the kids. So that's what I noticed too. So I'm very thankful for that they're growing up in that environment. I was telling them like in the Philippines so strict. We start class very early, we end late, and we have a lot of assignments. So totally different. So that's for my personal side that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully more traveling, but you need to save up for that. And in the work side, like now in a senior role, I'm really more focused on um having more strategic outlook with how we do our work. And just like I said, we did the AI hackathon. I would like to be able to generate new ideas and be more creative with how we can simplify work, because right now the focus of our team is really user experience and user journey. Every time we review content, there's always a question of how do you connect this content to all the campaigns that you're putting in your campaign ads. Like you say something in your LinkedIn ads, but when you land to this page, it's not answering that ad. You're not connecting your content well. And then you have your CTA or your call to action button with your gated asset. You fill up a form, you get an autoresponder email. The email doesn't really explain well what they just filled up. You know what I mean? Like it really had to be fully connected and a really great user experience for your visitors. So that's one of the things I'm really looking at. And mentoring, coaching more of our junior team members. I have a brilliant team I'm working with. A lot of them, all of them are very talented. Some I would just really want to do them good and help them with their career progression. So that's what I'm really looking forward to.
That's an awesome parang ano, I think that's a good place to end it. We should save some for the next episode for sure. Maybe ano na lang, parting thoughts for now, no? To those people who might be sitting in the same what do you call this position you were in 10
Mm,
years ago, contemplating a change, contemplating a shift. Obviously, it may not be politically correct to encourage people to leave the country, but then on the other hand, it's a personal decision naman eh for everyone. So, any thoughts I mean, any parting thoughts for those people who are parang looking to make that change?
yeah, I think one of the things that they need to start thinking of is what are their priorities, right? Like, what's your intent for moving? And if you are going to make that decision, that to be ready for like the change in the lifestyle and the possibility of like the huge adjustment that you're going to go through. But overall, like just have to, like if you're a family moving though, like it has to be both a decision of the husband and wife. Like no one should be like making a decision just because one of them likes it. It's going to be a hard adjustment for everyone. So it has to be like a family decision. And once maybe you already made the move and you've already, landed in the country, go find a community, because that's one of the things. Like, don't do it on your own, because there are a lot of people around you who are also going through the adjustment, or who are willing to help you in that adjustment. So find a community, even just like in any place, even workplace, or like this moving to a new country. There's a lot of community out there, especially Filipino communities, who are willing to help. So that's, I think that those are the key things that I'm thinking of, because that's what we did personally with my family. We made a decision, both husband and my husband and myself, and we also told our families, and then we had that mindset that it will change. So we're ready actually with that huge adjustment. And then we leaned on community. Like, we don't have immediate family members here, but we have a lot of friends, and we also belong to a charismatic Catholic group here.
That's
So
nice. That's nice. Um,
so yeah.
it's very important. I just suddenly had a thought bubble because in one of my last trips to the United States, in California, um, out because that was kind of a corporate thing. We took some time out to travel and meet some Filipino communities. No? So I had a colleague who had friends already who had relocated to hindi nga, near San Francisco lang in suburbs kasi mahal eh,
Okay.
no? And we met them and we found them one weekend having their parang regular Saturday or every 2 to 3 weeks get together.
Yeah.
And para talaga silang extended family, no? Na setup, they have their kids there, they're maybe watching the Super Bowl or whatever. And, they've adopted the American lifestyle. Everyone drives a Lexus for some reason or an Acura, mga Californians. And then, yun eh, parang, pero you can feel na, oh, may adobo ako dito, pansit ako dito. So they
Ito
bring
pa rin.
their, yung mga lutong bahay nila and you bring a piece of Manila there. Ah, syempre ako, yung amoy Manila talaga. Doon ako. And, one of the last conversations I had with them was about games, no? We were talking about the games we used to play. No, I used to play StarCraft, Warcraft, ganyan ganyan, and parang and then it brought them back, no? And sabi ko, wow, this could be me. This could be anyone. So baka yun din yung so that for me gave parang shattered the myth na yung mga nag-abroad are different. Actually, no. They bring their DNA, their
True.
cultural DNA with them. Pero yun na nga, it's more of the environmental change. Suddenly the
True.
system works with you, not against you. 'Di ba? And the typical ironic cultural barriers that exist are there are no longer there. Iba naman yung mga barriers sa first world. Pero they're not the so may pagka-petty nga sila on some level. Pero for me, it's nowhere near the pettiness that we have back home. Yung mga crab mentality pettiness
Oh
talagang
my
iba
gosh.
eh. And it
Yes.
persists up
Yes.
to now, no? Actually, ano
Yeah.
nga, this should be another episode na we're all overtime na. Pero, yung bang ano, I don't know how to phrase it eh. Parang in the Philippines, and it's not 100%, but I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
many people can relate to this. There's the people are okay with the underdog. Parang kawawa tayo lahat mentality. Pero oras na may umasenso, you're out. Kasi, hindi ka na ma-reach. Yumaman ka na, asenso ka na. And that's often a stigma. It's a reverse stigma for those who have gone abroad and come back home visiting. Kamusta na? O, asenso na kayo. Kamusta naman dyan? Parang ganun. There's this, it's a weird thing. I don't know if you've ever experienced it. No? It's a different type of pettiness. It's a different type of crab mentality. Parang hindi mo masabi if inggit siya or not. Or parang patutsada. I think that's the term eh, patutsada. Pinatutsada ako yan. Parang, why? Ako, I celebrate that, no? Parang, oh,
I
good. If you
know.
can help, fine. But no, you're not obligated to. Great, you've made it. So that's good on
I
you, di
know.
ba?
I know, Doc. It has something to do with the forex, I think. So because they think they're earning dollars, they think
Mm.
you're rich, but they don't know the cost of living
Oh,
and
malayo
the
din.
things that
Tsaka the
they
taxes. Iba rin yung taxes abroad, no? Pero ang
yeah.
maganda, you've got other, you've got insurance, you've got all these other structures, investments. Syempre, God knows, the stock markets in the Philippines are rigged. It's a fake market, pero sa abroad, it behaves a little more orderly. Meron din mga moments. So yun yung nakakatawa eh. Parang everything here is like a bad copy of stuff there. Parang ganun ang nangyari and twisted beyond beyond redemption, no? And
Oh
kawawa
my
talaga.
gosh. Mm, pena
Wait,
na, Doc.
personal question, sort of. So are you investing? Are you buying property there and all that? That should be a major step. Kasi once you've done that, talagang ano ka na, ano na yan. You're now participating in the economy kasi you're now a landowner and whatever. Is that something that you're looking into?
So our house, so we bought this house. It's what do you call that? What do you call that? New build. So we
Okay.
had this,
Construction
but in
loan.
terms, yes,
Okay, okay.
in terms of investing, we do invest, but just the one managing the portfolio for us, my
Uh-huh.
husband. So, but yes, we invest in the stock market and bonds, and yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Kasi the moment kasi yung kumbaga tumaya ka na sa economy, then you know you've moved on. Yan ang super hirap gawin sa Philippines. Ang hirap tayaan yung economy ng Philippines. It's so weird. Inflation will kill it. Property prices are astronomical versus the median salary. I don't know anyone who could actually buy property who didn't already have property in the first place, no? So for someone
Yeah.
to, to go from the ranks and then later, maybe you might be able to afford a condo on a home loan. That's it, no? Medyo pahirapan siya, no? There's always the lotto. Pero talagang ano eh, hindi talaga siya viable. And yet, there, I think, the median average person could actually afford to buy properties pa nga eh, eventually, no? Medyo may structures for
Wow.
people to get in eh. So
Wow.
anyway, I don't want to sound like yung crab mentality, so I'm just gonna congratulate you for making the change. And looking forward to having a chat with you again, Mel. It's nice to catch up.
Yeah. Thanks, Doc.